Yesterday, the Democratic governor of Oregon announced the feds would be leaving Portland today. And that's not true. A bunch of people on the left were celebrating, saying, we won, yay, the feds are leaving. The feds are not leaving. We actually have another statement here from the acting secretary of the DHS, Chad Wolf, saying, no, we're not leaving. However, there's a technically the truth going on. The governor of Oregon has deployed state police to bolster the law enforcement efforts in Portland, maybe because Ted Wheeler wouldn't get the job done. If there's any one group of people who lost, it is the far left extremists on the ground engaging in violence. And let me just show you a still image of the night. Here's a tweet from Ian Miles Chong who says, not much different tonight in Portland. And you can see a bunch of officers with their riot control weapons standing shrouded in tear gas. And these are state police, I believe. They could be local. I believe they're state police. Someone said the feds. So literally feds are replaced by local police. Yeah, just to give feds some rest. They're fighting against these so-called peaceful protesters for a long time. Well, here's what's happening. The Portland riots are still going on. The feds are still there. They vow to remain there until they feel that the riots have been dealt with. The only thing that's changing is local police are being added to the mix. That's right. More police. Let me make sure it's very, very clear for those in the back. To all the far left activists that are jumping up and down, cheering, the feds are leaving, we won. Yes, they're being bolstered by more outside agencies coming in to assist. All these federal agents are still inside the building, could come out at any time. Now you've got local police who may still be standing out. I don't know. But apparently state police being deployed as well. Congratulations. More police are coming out. How amazing. The grand experiment isn't working. Getting rid of the police made everything worse. And it should be obvious to everyone why these far left extremists keep saying defund the police. They're telling you to drop your guard while they're attacking you. How stupid would you have to be to do it? Think about it. A bunch of crazy extremists are banging on the gates of your castle, and they're like, get rid of these doors. That's our demand. Once the doors are gone, then we'll stop. And you're like, okay, and you take the doors down, and they run in full speed. Okay, you got to be really dumb to think defunding the police and getting rid of the police is going to end this. They're just saying, get rid of the cops. Yeah, the people that are holding us back, yeah, make them go away, and then we're done. And then they charge in full speed like they've been doing for 2+ months. If they pull the feds out of Portland, if they take the police away, these people will run into the courthouse and go nuts, more so than they already are. We got a bunch of big updates, though. I want to show you this story from Newsweek, giving you the basic update of what's been going on with these police. Hundreds of police officers have been injured, and DHS Secretary talks about what their plans are. They are staying. They are not withdrawing. That was not true. The Democratic governor of Oregon is just desperate to stop the violence because they've been losing, and it makes Trump look good. You know what makes Trump look good? When the only person willing to send in law enforcement is Trump. So now this Democrat is like, oh, I'll send in the police too. We also have an update here, though. I want to show you this. Conservative journalist 25 is stabbed in the back by Portland protester who he accuses of following him. And he claims he was targeted because he supports Trump. So this is an update on something that had happened a week or so ago or several days ago. A black conservative was being followed by some Antifa guy. He waited until the guy, lost track of him, I guess, went up around him, put his arm around him and said, why are you following us? And the Antifa guy stabbed him. I want to talk about this because there's an interesting debate going on as to whether or not, who's going to get in trouble. The conservative guy for putting his arm around him or the Antifa guy for stabbing. And I got to say, it looks like it's the Antifa guy because Oregon has specific statutes dealing with the amount of force you can use in certain circumstances. There may be a moral or ethical argument that if someone puts their arm around you, you can do whatever you need to protect yourself. But it stands to reason. I'm seeing some of these arguments online. Even among like moderates and lefties, nah, man, he made a big mistake by using a knife because that goes into lethal force, which he's not going to be able to justify. It's not going to work. But either way, we'll read through this. We'll see what's up. But first, let's get started with what the feds are saying. 100 people have been arrested in Portland, according to the DHS chief. Federal officers deployed to Portland in response to unrest in the wake of the George Floyd incident have arrested nearly 100 people since they first arrived. Speaking with reporters, they first arrived on July 4th weekend. That's very important. Very important for people who aren't following this. Speaking with reporters in a press call announcing a new agreement struck between the DHS and Oregon State Governor Kate Brown to collaborate on the response to unrest, Wolf said at least 94 people so far had been arrested by federal officers since late May, days after Floyd died. We know all the context, blah, blah, blah. There have been protests in Portland, with some being peaceful demonstrations and others being marked by what Wolf branded violent activity, obviously. Federal officers, including Immigration and Customs Enforcement and CBP, were initially deployed over the July 4th weekend in response to unrest in a proclaimed bid to protect federal property, and specifically the Mark Hatfield Courthouse from criminal acts of violence and vandalism. Yes, for those that don't know, on July 4th, Antifa breached the building. It may have been July 3rd. They breached the doors. They cut into it or something. They had welding tools. I don't know. There's photos going around of it. And then apparently set a big fire. Fortunately, the building's made of stone and concrete and steel, so I don't think the fire actually did much. Since then, they have faced scrutiny over their treatment of demonstrators, with officers being accused of excessive force, including refusing and worrying tactics like not wearing name badges and forcing demonstrators into unmarked vehicles. Man, two times. During the press calls on Wednesday, Wolf sought to draw a distinction between peaceful protesters and violent rioters attacking the courthouse. While we have seen nonviolent protests, violent activity is not associated with these protests. I want to be clear. Calling the federal courthouse the seat of justice in Portland, Wolf said federal officers have sought to protect property while demonstrators have attacked it with Molotov cocktails and IEDs. During the call, Wolf said 245 law enforcement personnel had been injured due to the encounters with demonstrators, with some being seriously injured, including several who may have permanent eye damage from having lasers shot into their eyes. It is unclear how many demonstrators have been injured in the clashes. During the call, the DHS acting secretary appeared to counter Brown's claim that an agreement between her office and Homeland Security would see the Trump administration pull federal forces out of Portland. In a statement published online, Brown said they'd be leaving a phased withdrawal on Thursday. Wolf refuted the claim, saying there was no agreement for federal officers to start leaving starting Thursday. Federal officers, the DHS chief said, would only start to withdraw once they were certain the federal courthouse would not be at risk of nightly attacks. We get the point. That's the gist of it. So I'll go back to showing you this image. They are deploying more police. That's the solution. More cops. These appear to not be the feds. They appear to be, they look like state police. I'm not convinced they're Portland police. They may be, but it looks like they're deploying more cops to deal with the violent riots. So how is that narrative working out for everybody? Where they kept saying that peaceful protesters are being attacked by Trump's secret police. Congratulations. Thank you for putting out that narrative. You know what? I'm just going to say it. You have essentially just you slipped on a banana peel on this one. These far leftists who wanted to blame the feds and attack Trump for having secret police now have to contend with the fact that their Democratic governor in Oregon is deploying their own secret police. Oh no. What do you do when Trump's units, feds, are out there, and now you have the Oregon State Police doing literally the same thing? Oops. So now can we say that Governor Kate Brown's secret police are being deployed? Yeah, I think so. There's our secret police, right? You can't see their faces. They're unidentified. Hey, wait a minute. Let's play this game, huh? You see these guys? Are they wearing badges or anything? I can't see anything. Their faces are covered in masks. That proves it. Unidentified, unmarked, state secret police deployed by the Democrat. It's so dumb, isn't it? We know they're cops. We know what they're doing. We know who deployed them. The feds announced that they were going to be sending in CBP, BORTAC, ICE, etc. You could see their patches. You could see their badge numbers on their arms. Everybody knew who they were and what they were doing and why they were doing it, and they lied. So I'll tell you what. How about people stop reacting to the news cycle and start setting it? Kate Brown's secret police deployed to the streets of Portland. That's the announcement. The feds are going to stay inside the courthouse while Kate Brown's secret Gestapo goes around beating protesters, peaceful protesters being beaten by Kate Brown, Democratic governor. Her secret police. Is that what people are going to say? You know they're not going to do it. Why? The problem is the right or whatever is they react. They react. They don't set the cycle for the most part. Sometimes they do. And then the media gets all angry and then pretends like conservatives are always in control of the narrative. Okay, here's the narrative. As far as I can tell, if we're going to be operating under a single standard, a Democrat has just deployed unidentified secret Gestapo to go around gassing moms and innocent, peaceful protesters. How could this Democrat do this? You know I'm exaggerating. That's the point. We know why the police are out. These people are violent, and we know the police are trying to stop these things. But fine, we'll hold it to a single standard. But let's jump over to the story and talk about what's going on with this conservative journalist who got stabbed. Daily Mail reports, conservative journalist 25 is stabbed in the back by Portland protester who he accuses of following him, and he claims he was targeted because he supports Trump. A videographer who was knifed in the back during a protest in downtown Portland claims he was targeted because of his conservative activism. Well, of course he was. Andrew Duncombe was knifed in the back. Here's a photo of the guy. Look at that. Look at that. Good cowboy look, Andrew. Nice cowboy hat and big old belt buckle. I'm just kidding. Shocking video captured the moment Andrew Duncombe, 25, was stabbed while he was out filming footage of protests at the courthouse early Saturday morning. Duncombe, who is black and a vocal supporter of Donald Trump, told Oregon Live he had traveled to the city from Northern California because he wanted to offer a more complete view of the situation than what has been portrayed in the mainstream media. Over the past several weeks, photos and videos emerged of federal troops using aggressive tactics. Oh, got to stop you right there. I'm sorry, Daily Mail. New photos and videos have emerged last night of the Democratic governor's aggressive tactics with their Gestapo. I'm kidding again. Over the past several weeks, we've seen it. My main goal was to show that it wasn't just the feds creating problems. But Duncombe's trip took a very unexpected turn when he was attacked hours after he arrived on Friday. He says, I was stabbed for being a conservative journalist. They arrested the guy who did it, right? Duncombe has built an impressive online following with videos he films of demonstrations and other political events under the moniker Black Rebel. He believes that people familiar with his work, which frequently features staunch defenses of conservative causes, had alerted activists that he would be at the Portland protest soon after he arrived. He said that he and a few friends that were with him noticed a group of people was trailing them just before 2:30 a.m. on Saturday. After traveling several blocks with people still on their tail, Duncombe said he handed his camera to a friend before he decided to confront one of the men in the group. Now, here's a big mistake. He walks up behind the guy, puts his arm around him and says something like, hey, here's what he says, quote, "Hey, buddy, why are you following us?" Duncombe says as he approaches the man from behind and places his arm around the man's shoulder. A split seconds later, the man is seen thrusting a knife into Duncombe's lower back without saying a word as Duncombe falls backwards and shouts, "Ow." Okay, don't put your hands on people, all right? If someone's following you, then, you know, you're at a big event, they're following you. More importantly, you're in a location, all right, where you know these Antifa people have weapons, serious weapons. You know they've attacked people. You know they don't care about hurting anybody. And you know they're extremely racist. That's a fact, man. These people are racist to the core. They're white supremacists with guilty consciences. I'm not exaggerating. Watch the Ryan Long comedy bit he did about the wokes and the racists and how they basically agree on everything. The only difference is they feel guilty about it. So what does he do? This Antifa guy, they arrested him, stabs this dude in the back. Now, initially, a ton of people were saying, very obviously, bro, you shouldn't have put your hands on that guy. Don't be surprised if someone, strikes back if they think, you're putting your hands on somebody. Imagine what would you do if Antifa walked up to you and put their arm around your shoulder real quick? You'd probably knock them out or something, right? Maybe not everybody. Some people might just push them away and be like, get off me. But here's the issue. The question arose of who was at fault and would this guy be the one to get in trouble? Because maybe he was just defending himself, right? Apparently the answer is no. This guy's been arrested. So I don't know if he was transported. The knife-wielding man identified in court as 43-year-old Blake David was arrested by police at the scene. Blake David Hamp, that's his name. Hamp was charged with second-degree assault and unlawful use of a weapon and is now being held in jail on a $250,000 bond. A probable cause affidavit quotes Hamp as telling investigators that Duncombe had set up on him and tried to choke him, though that version of the events was not supported by the video. So he lied to the police. This guy's going to get locked up. Duncombe maintains the attack was planned, but says it isn't going to deter him from continuing his coverage when his wounds heal. I'm not going to let them intimidate me for going back out. I wasn't meant to die. It wasn't my time to go. So initially, like I mentioned, a lot of people were saying, who's at fault on this one? I mean, he came up and grabbed the guy. Well, here's the thing. This dude was following him. following him and probably putting Duncombe himself in reasonable fear of impending harm. The attack, in the legal sense of walking up and putting his arm around the guy, does not constitute lethal force against him. And I think that's the important part. And that's why this guy lied to the police, because he knew. If he said to the cops, this dude walked up to me and put his arm around my shoulder, so I tried to, so he did what he did, then the cops are going to be like, okay, that's attempted murder or something, right? Well, they gave him second degree assault. There was someone posted in an online forum about how in Oregon, in order to use a knife in this manner, you need to have legitimate fear of harm. Otherwise, it's considered unreasonable. The argument basically is if someone's running at you or trying to punch you in the face, and so you use a weapon against them that could end their life, it could be seen as excessive. Now, it's all going to come down to the jury, to the courts, but I'm willing to bet, based on what we've seen, this guy's in serious trouble. He's been arrested. He lied about it, probably because he knew it wasn't going to fly. Someone put their arm around my shoulder and said, why are you following me? So he pulls out a knife? Not going to work. I think this guy's in serious trouble. We'll see, though. He's 43 years old. He was lurking around like some moron and then attacked. Not only, look, man, he attacked a conservative. He was hunting him down. You're going to be hard pressed to claim it was self-defense when he was arguably initiating the conflict. That's another really important point about this. You could say that Duncombe shouldn't have put his arm around the guy, but you could also argue this man was stalking them armed, and it may have been a premeditated attack. And that was just his opportunity to engage in it. So you could argue to a court from Duncombe's perspective, I'm being followed by a guy. We know these people are violent. And then I felt threatened by this dude. And sure enough, he was right to suspect it. So here's a photo of him. Duncombe said the incident won't stop him from going out. You can see him with his cowboy hat and his Gadsden bandana. Duncombe spoke out about the incident on Wednesday, which marked the 63rd consecutive night of protests in Portland. It came as the Trump administration and Oregon leaders declared victory after it was announced the federal agents would finally begin withdrawing from the city, though it remains unclear whether that agreement will reduce tensions. There's no agreement. It's a lie. She made it up. Oregon Governor Kate Brown said Wednesday agents with CBP and whatever are going to be pulling out. However, acting secretary for the Department of Homeland Security wouldn't specify where they would go. He insisted a federal presence would remain in Portland. No, he literally said, we will keep our excess forces in Portland, period. Okay, so maybe they'll leave the courthouse and then go to a courthouse down the street. I don't know. But it sounds like he's saying, no, we're staying. We're not bailing out. Many demonstrators are peaceful, but smaller numbers have thrown, you know what? No, we're not playing this game. Listen, if you go, here's what I said. If someone robs a bank and then a bunch of people surround him and link arms so the cops can't get to him, you can't be like, but it was a peaceful demonstration and one bank robber. No, they're all bank robbers. Sorry. They have every opportunity to stop these people and they don't do it. And now if they want to start claiming these people are actually white supremacists, maybe they should be stopping them, but they're not. You could argue, okay, fine. It's the far right secretly agitating. Then why aren't you stopping them? And why are you allowing them to form ranks within your protest? It makes absolutely no sense. Well, I'll tell you what. They're now fighting among themselves. From Wall of Moms. Wall of Moms started with a social contract, defer to black voices, shield black bodies. These people who joined this movement of mothers did so under that understanding. The founder, Bev Barnum, decided to break that contract. As of today, all POC admins of Wall of Moms Facebook, including prominent black activist Teresa L. Railford, has been removed from Don't Shoot PDX, has been betrayed after legitimizing Wall of Moms due to the now broken social contract. Oh, geez, now they're all fighting each other. Who could have seen this coming? Why is this important? This is another example of something built on the premise of helping black people, legitimized by black people, taken from black people. Yes, please hear me out. These far leftists are overt white supremacists in the classical sense of the term. They believe they're better than you. They think they're smarter than you. They just have a guilty conscience. That's the only thing that separates them from the rest of them. And guess what? Many of them are part of the exact same political party, the Democratic Party, who's long been doing this historically. Listen, They're going to come out and they're going to be like, the Democrats, the parties switched. I don't care what you think happened. When you have people like this repeatedly doing this, I don't see Republicans weaseling their way in to a Black Lives Matter protest and taking it over. It's the Democrats over and over and over again. And these far leftists. Why is it that the head of the NAACP Oregon is complaining about white spectacle? Because these people are white supremacists who are manipulating everyone else into gaining power, and it's working. I do not like these people. They are actively voting to repeal civil rights law in California because they are insane white supremacists in the true sense of the word. They put out literature claiming that white people invented all of these things. They're nuts. Stop defending them. They literally just stabbed a black man in Portland. But apparently they're going to keep doing it. So you know what, man? I don't know what else to say. You've got all of this stuff laid out in front of you. You know exactly who these people are. You know exactly what they're doing. And for some reason, it's not going to change. You're going to see more videos of, I don't know if you guys saw that video of the mom screaming, I heard George Floyd called mama, so I came out, and yelling, getting millions of views. Or how about the white protesters in New York getting arrested by the NYPD warrant squad in the unmarked van? 10 plus million views. They are pretending to be opposed to racism. They are some of the most racist people you will ever meet. Are there right-wing racists? You betcha. Yeah, absolutely. Good news, though. They're not prominent. They're not in mainstream media. They're not in movies. They have very little cultural institutional power. Some of them are in politics, but those people get removed because the Republicans have no problem purging them. The left is laden with these white supremacists who want to enact insane laws, turn back the clock on freedom of speech and civil rights legislation like they're doing in California. And they are overt. They are in government. They are at every level of all of our cultural institutions. And then you get people like Mackenzie Bezos dumping $1.7 billion into many of these organizations that pretend to be against racism, but are the same as these people, white supremacists with guilty consciences. These are the organizations in California that are trying to remove civil rights legislation. That is not an exaggeration. Google search. It's on Ballotpedia. It's called Prop 16. Repeal Prop 209. It would strike civil rights law from the California Constitution. I believe California was the first state to enact civil rights legislation because we've had it at the federal level since 1964. They're getting rid of it. You need to pay attention to what these people are doing. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel, and I will see you all then. Thanks for hanging out.